Isaiah chapter 32, verse 8 says this, "But generous people plan to do what is generous, and they stand firm in their generosity." Generous people have a plan to be generous. There's a purpose to their generosity. And once we plan to do that, and once we have a plan in place, see, this whole thing hinges upon the ability we have early on in this discussion, way before the need arises. The whole thing hinges on my ability to, early on in the discussion, remove some of the stress of poor financial decisions. Because I'm convinced most of us, not everyone this morning, but I'm convinced most of us have a desire to give towards causes that are going to make a difference. In fact, I think we as Americans, this is the one place we excel. It's just when we see a need, we want to go help meet that need. Some of you this week right away saw an immediate need when Hurricane Michael hit up in the Panhandle area. And right away there was a call out by everything from local churches and local community groups to national organizations who do this as regular responses to tragedies. And right away, people are asking the question, how can I help? How can I get involved? How can I go serve? How can I contribute? We had people right here from Ridgepoint Church that have already traveled up there taking goods that are going up there to help them out. And right away, there's this desire inside of us to say, we want to be a part of making a difference. When there's a need, I want to jump in. The question is, why can't we do that more frequently? And the answer to that question is because sometimes we make poor mistakes that build up the stress in our life. And stress is bad. Whereas giving is good. We realize this isn't a simple solution. It's not you're going to come in 4 weeks and your finances are going to be straight. We'll be giving and changing the world. But it's saying I want to put in practices in my life. Some of you right now are going through Financial Peace University and you're really having to tighten that buckle down a little bit and figure this out. I want to put in place procedures in my life and systems in my life to make sure that in the future I have the freedom to be able to give when I want to be able to give. And next week, as we talk about Tomorrow Matters, how I can make sure that I'm preparing myself so that there's a future, not just for me, that I don't have to stress about those things, but also for my kids and my grandkids, that all those things are taken care of. It begins early on by setting a budget, saying these are my priorities. See, the very thing we talked about is we want to make this very applicable. Week 1, we said every week there's an application. Week 1 was just have a conversation. You and your spouse, or you and your family get together and say, what are our priorities as a family? Not let our budget drive our passions, but let our passions drive our budget. Figure out what your passions are and pursue those passions and allow the budget to match up with those passions. Week 2, last week, Chris handed out Jimmy's worksheet that said, here's the way to build a budget. Now work on that budget together. Here's the practical application. Week 3, the takeaway is this. As you've been hopefully at least thinking about or talking about that budget, it's saying come up with an intentional way to say, I want to make sure that my giving is a part of that. And whether that means corporately through church or not, that's not the point. The point is there are going to be people who come up to you at the gas station that say, hey, I need help with this. And if we do it just kind of haphazardly, saying there's no intentionality to it, that again, that's fine. We can do that. But it's so much more liberating, it brings so much more freedom when we say we have a plan in our life to be generous. And when we do that, the promise is God's going to take care of us. And it also allows us to be free to take care of tomorrow, which we'll talk about.